Hello, in an earlier video I shared how to do an informal play assessment with your child or a child that you're working with. So in that video series I talked about how to set up that play assessment, and I talked about, and I mentioned that there were several items that I deliberately did not include in that assessment process, and those were a screen, anything with a screen like this, what you're watching me on, a ball, a car, or bubbles. However, there are still many things that we can do with these items, particularly in those cases that we are finding that this is a person that doesn't like to interact with toys, doesn't really play with toys. That's something that I hear a lot. Or a child who won't stay engaged with another person, and therefore we feel like we can't play with them, or we don't, or that they won't play with us, really. How can we use a ball to engage a child who doesn't play with other people or doesn't stay engaged and play with other people? So it's really interesting. We think of ball as something very simple, and there's not a lot to it. And that's actually one of the reasons it's so powerful. It's a way that people can connect with each other, sometimes even an even deeper level than words allow. And actually, it is this back and forth, this game of catch that people play as children, and people play with children, and sometimes people, even adults, a lot of adults have games of ball that's really, in a lot of ways, their most important way of connecting with their friends. I have a neighbor whose husband, before COVID, and hopefully soon he'll be able to again, it was very important to him in his week to be able to go and play basketball with his friends. And I don't think that was nothing. I think that was very meaningful for him, and it's something that was sacred in his family that they really appreciated. So for a lot of these kids that won't engage initially or won't stay engaged, there's a lot you can do with a ball to get that initial engagement and to get that back and forth that is really the foundation of all human interactions. And it can be like a conversation even before the words come in. So the first thing is to do is to get their attention and to get them engaged. Now, we don't throw the ball at them and wait for a reaction. We'll probably get one if we hit them with the ball, but that's not the kind of reaction we want. We want a nice, gentle back and forth, and we're drawing them to us, and we're trying to keep them connected with us. So the first thing that you would want to do is just toss them the ball and see if you get a reaction. Now, we want to stay at the level of physical engagement that they are capable of. If they're able to catch a ball, you can, if they're ready for it, you could throw them the ball. But for some kids, they are not coordinated enough yet to catch a ball, like a small ball like this or something, especially a hard ball, from a long distance. But what you might be able to do is, when they are still and not so much otherwise engaged, we talked about a moment ago with the screens, if they're on a screen, it might not be the best time. You want to get a moment when they're not otherwise very engaged in something, and you can just gently roll it across the floor and let it tap their leg, or maybe just playfully show some tricks with it, or just throw it up in the air and get their eye contact. When you have their attention, you can roll it back and forth. You could toss it gently back and forth. And you can add interest and make it variable and add complexity to this conversation you're having by doing little fake outs, by adding difficulty to the way that you're throwing it. You can add interest by bouncing it off of something and letting them get it. But the idea is that you are engaged with something together with your child for as long as you can. And it might be that there's just something, likely actually, that there's something in your instinct and in their instinct that will help to establish this game and grow this game. And one of the things that is a lot of times very helpful is if there are no other demands, no other expectations than just, I want to be with you, I want to connect with you, and I don't need a right answer, I don't need you to do the dishes. I don't need you to do anything for me. What I want from you is you. I just want to be with you. And having that back and forth is a way to establish that a little bit every day. And even just having that experience of feeling adults' presence and being wanted by an adult and being connected to an adult can lay a very important foundation for meaningful social connection and meaningful communication from that moment forward in a child's life. What we're really trying to establish and what's missing a lot of times when a kid won't play with another child or with an adult, or when I hear from parents, well, my child doesn't play with toys, is something called joint attention. So joint attention, joint means together and attention is paying attention to something, is paying attention to anything together with another person. So when a child starts saying look and points and like looks to the other person, or even if they're not saying look yet, just pointing to something and looking at the other person to see if they're paying attention to that, that's the nice beginning of joint attention. Now, being able to have that in a moment is a really important milestone, and being able to encourage that will lead us to something even better, which is extended joint attention. Now, if a child could stay engaged with another person in a back and forth of some kind, whether it's a conversation verbally like we have with our friends and other adults and even children in our lives, or even if it's just a back and forth playing like we're talking about in these videos, that is the beginning of being able to learn from another person and being able to connect emotionally with another person. So that's why we're doing this series of videos, to start to establish and extend that joint attention, which is going to be the foundation of everything else you do in growing your child's cognition and working towards meaningful language. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please click like and share with anybody you think can benefit from it. For more videos like this, please subscribe. To request a video on a topic that we haven't covered yet, go ahead and leave a comment down below and I'll see that, and if I get enough interest, I'll make a new video. Also, you don't have to do this alone. You could join the discussion in our private Facebook group, and the link is in the comment box down below. Or if you're interested in working with me personally, send me a PM on Facebook and we'll make a time to talk. In the meantime, use your powers and take care.